We're here with Julian Mair, the recently appointed chairman of the Jamaica Stock Exchange at the Investment and Capital Markets Conference here at the Jamaica Pegasus. Julian, can you tell us a little bit about what you want to do with your tenure as chairman of the Jamaica Stock Exchange?
Over the last number of years, we've built up the debt component, but we haven't really told many people about it. You know, it's not that you're going to go on the exchange and you're going to see that side, but it's a very large side. In that corporates are now utilizing our services for trustee services, paying agent services, and the rest. I think that with this now, we kind of have the full spectrum of capital market services for issuers and for investors. With this, I think it's time now to go and expand. So when we look at the region, you know, we're a number of small, unfortunately, insulated economies. We're not very well intertwined economically, and certainly in the capital markets, it doesn't exist. It's about time that we have a more deliberate look at how we can serve the needs of the region. And honestly, as a Jamaica Stock Exchange, I believe that we have all that's required to be the multifaceted supporter of capital creation, capital raising, and unlocking of the value of capital for issuers. So I'm excited about this time and excited about taking on a charge that is directly focused on regional expansion and bringing to the other islands what we in Jamaica have come to enjoy and come to know as, I come to expect from our capital market. Wigton really kicked off the doors. It's not that it was a first, I think over the many years we've had in many issuances that have kind of grabbed the interest of, the common man. And you'll hear it discussed at different times over the past few years. But Wigton really brought them out in a
30,
different
000.
way.
Yes.
30,000. I mean, for JMB alone, we saw over 11,000 clients who wanted to buy into this instrument and who did. It's a massive shift when people now start to look on the stock market as being relevant to them. I'll tell you that, one of the junior market listings, and there are many, but I remember specifically with Honeybun, going into a gas station and hearing a man walk in and speak about improvement in the packaging of his product. Obviously implying that he was now a shareholder in Honeybun. This man was not the owner of Honeybun. But through his purchase of equity in the company, he was. He was one of the many owners. And he recognized that. And I think that connection is one that we can't lose sight of. It's important for the individuals. It's also important for the companies. Because as you expand that client base or that shareholder base, the ambitions of the companies have changed. People want to know, why is it that we're not conquering the region? Why aren't we conquering new territories? Why aren't we exporting into the US? Whereas a smaller family business may have been comfortable, may have just been comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think on both sides, both for the investors, we're seeing that they're excited about IPOs, but on the issuer side, we're seeing that equally those people who are in business are recognizing that there's significant value to be gained from going and listing your equity or coming and bringing debt to market. You end up deepening your relationships, you end up changing the course of your company, and therefore you have some value to becoming so transparent.
So I stand before you, honestly, honored to be here as chair of not only last year's top performing stock exchange in the world. It's a great. I guess it's tough place to start, but as chair of the oldest stock exchange in the region. So on introspection, I looked at my career's work, and my career's work has been exactly that. Development of the capital markets, that's what we've done here in Jamaica. That's what we've done in Trinidad. I see Ray Klein sitting over there as one of those who continually is moving the bar in the Trinidad market. Again, a colleague. I'm thankful to have you here, Ray. In my role over the past 20 plus years, I would have worked diligently to develop our local capital markets, the regional capital markets in relation to our regional credits, or the international capital markets in relation to our regional credits. One of my key partners in this endeavor over many years has been Greg Fisher. We don't have as much fun as we used to, trading bonds from back in the late 90s when these things were in the 50s. So I'd say I've had the joy of being a practitioner. I've had the joy of being an advocate for regulatory change to help facilitate the development of markets. And at the moment, well, for the past decade or so, I've had the joy of being a director on the board of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. What I have seen is that the stock exchange has now properly positioned itself to do what I guess we've always been talking about and we've mandated in CARICOM agreements, that we're going to somehow bring together our regional capital markets and make these individual small markets something larger than that. But our regional economies are limited in a few ways. And I'll say across the board, the capital markets is underdeveloped. And this leads to all sorts of issues. It leads to the people taking funding that's not appropriate for the businesses they're in. It leads to people having a lack of equity or access to equity. It leads to people having equity trapped in businesses that are great, but are unable to go and unlock that power without selling their business. All of these things are inefficiencies throughout the region. And I'd say Jamaica, for sure, has done the most to attempt to unlock these inefficiencies. This is all a part of an infrastructure where the capital market plays a role to unlock capital and pass to those who need it, whether businesses or otherwise. And I take as my charge when we talk about developing capital markets, because of my experience in the various regional markets and what we've seen there as challenges, I take it as my charge to see how we can bring the benefit of this stock exchange not only to investors of the region that are able to look at it now, issuers of the region as well. So at the moment, we have a few things that are stopping us. We have regulations that say we can only fund people from abroad. We have regulations that say we can only fund people that are local. We have regulations that say some things are liquid and others are not. We need a level of harmonization, not only within the Jamaican market, but within other markets to ensure that we allow the free flow of capital between. And I'll take it as our charge that we'll look to go and address that during my tenure. The Jamaica Stock Exchange last year hit the #1 stock exchange of the world. But I also want to just recognize that we are interesting to those parties. We're interesting to the international players. Because we're unique in these small markets. But we're not deep enough to actually warrant massive amounts of their funds at the moment, or for issuers to look on us as the place to go. But for our region, we're critical. Looking next door and seeing the parties that are here, Haiti, Trinidad, the Eastern Caribbean, Barbados, we have a role to play in supporting each and every one of these countries and the investor base that resides within them, to provide them with a forum to not only invest, but to come and issue without any concern with regards to the robustness of our platform, the seamlessness with which you'll be integrated in their statements, or any of the other areas of transparency that would be supportive of developing a capital market or developing or addressing their need for funding. So I think that the business people will drive how we develop and how we integrate. We will work towards moving the impediments for you to do so. But across the region, we have a stock exchange that's open for business. We accept any sort of issuance from any country. We'll screen it, we'll make sure it fits. Our analysts will properly price it. We're also open for your investments. We have accounts that support that, and we have issuances that we have done with investors across the globe. We're positioned, we are prepared, and we're open for business. And we'll be moving into discussions in each of your countries to see what role we can play in addressing some of the inadequacies that you may find within your own markets. We may not be able to go and solve it within your markets, but sometimes you have to lead and others follow. So come, let's do business here, and let's see if the robustness of our platform, our regulatory environment, the corporate governance that we bring to it will lead your regulators to be a little less fearful of change. And maybe through those actions, we'll actually achieve the integration that I think we all seek. So thank you. That's all from me.